Hello, I'm Maureen DuRant. I'm the librarian at the LRC, and today I have freshman from Mac, Brenan Brown. This is our first episode of Cooking with Your Ancestors. So we had this great idea some time ago, and so we decided to do our first episode on cooking with our Irish ancestors. So I went down to Mrs. Higgins' culinary class to find a student who could cook, and Brenan raised his hand, and he said he was Irish, had Irish heritage. What do you know about your Irish heritage, Brenan?
I've had my mother DNA tested, and she traced back a few generations, and other than that, we've had surnames in our family.
That seemed very Irish. And I tell you, Brenan, you got to look at the Irish about you. Okay, do you cook Irish food at your house?
We've had a couple of Irish stews with potatoes, carrots, and we substituted the lamb for some beef.
And you're right, the lamb is a main ingredient in stews in Ireland that people don't use as much in the United States. You also said you put a wee bit of Guinness in there. Is that true?
Yes.
There you go. And that tenderizes the meat very nicely. Any alcohol cooks off. And that Guinness is always full of iron, builds your blood up. Did you know that? And so then that keeps us Irish from being so pale. My mother is a recent Irish immigrant. She came over right after World War II, and so I guess that's fairly recent now. And we cooked a lot of Irish food in our house, and it's a very plain food for the working class Irish. And so we cook a lot of lamb, seafood, and potatoes. Do you like potatoes?
I do, yes.
How do you like your potatoes?
Boiled, mashed, scalloped, fried, anything you can think of.
Sounds like you know your food. Do you cook for your family?
I do sometimes.
And why are you taking culinary arts?
I'm thinking of becoming a chef in the future.
That's so cool, because you can take different kind of classes and kind of get your toe wet and understand what goes on in a professional kitchen and learn some of those skills. I love that. And so today we're going to cook a really basic, I would say it's a very working class bread, which is Irish soda bread. And it's quite different from the Irish soda bread that you might get in a grocery store, because that's a little bit fancied up. We call that the lace curtain soda bread. But we're making the soda bread that, you know, the working people coming home from the mills or the fields or wherever they were could mix very quickly together and have for their supper with their stew, and maybe you know, with some potatoes, of course. We're going to move on over here, and in our bowls we already have four cups of AP flour measured out and 1 teaspoon of salt. And so Megan, our magic Megan, did that earlier for us. And then we're also going to put in 1 good heaping teaspoon of baking soda. Always make sure your baking soda is nice and fresh, and so that can be problematic at times. So if your soda's a little bit old, then you're not going to get the rise that you want on it, okay? Because that's all we're depending on for the rise. Generally, people say that we will use, with soda, we use an acid of some sort, and the acid here is going to be our buttermilk. People say that's a secret ingredient. It's no secret. We tell all our secrets in Ireland, you know, so don't tell us anything, because unless you want everyone else to know about it. And so we've got that, and then we just take our whisk, and we just whisk that around just a little bit, just a wee bit, we say in Ireland. You know, my mom she sang in the kitchen always when I was growing up, and she had a beautiful voice. Unfortunately, I did not inherit the voice, but you said you're quite musical. The Irish are musical. And what do you play? What instruments? Or?
I play piano and saxophone.
Oh, cool. Do you sing as well?
I do, yeah.
Would you sing for us? Maybe later, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, when we got more time. So we're going to measure out in here about 1.5 cups of buttermilk. Now, I got this buttermilk at the Walmart, and I chose the one that said Bavarian on it because it's a full fat buttermilk, and that makes it a wee bit better. So we're going to take our hands, and we've washed our hands nice. We've had all of our classes on how to be clean in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we make a well in the middle, and you're just going to pour all of that buttermilk right in your well. That should be enough, but you got to get in touch with those Irish roots and in your ancestors to see exactly the amount of buttermilk you're going to need, because we want a nice wet dough, and we don't want to handle the dough too much. I think it's very much like biscuits. I don't know, because a lot of Scots Irish settled in North Carolina and so forth, and so you can always see that we get that, and then we'll take our rubber spatula and we'll just bring that together Okay, just barely bringing it together, not handling it too much because we don't want to toughen that dough up. And so there we go, just bringing it together. And if we think we need more, which I might need more, it depends on your flour. The Irish would use probably a whole wheat flour. You can get a whole wheat flour or an Irish flour. Sometimes you can find you think you need a wee bit more?
Yeah.
Okay, I did. I'm quite generous with this. And some people would cut in some butter like you would a biscuit. It's very much like a biscuit. Okay, have you made biscuits yourself?
I haven't, no.
Oh, well, there you go. We'll have to do that next. That'll be our, we're oaky Irish, we say, and so that'll be our oaky side. So mine's about right. It looks just like about craggy like this, but you get all the dry in as much as you possibly can. And so we'll set that aside. You think you need a wee bit more?
Yes.
All right, just pour it in, and like I said, just get in touch with that. Just make it just right. So wet there, Irish. And we can sing a wee Irish song as we go. Courting in the kitchen, that one?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna have to teach you that. I don't know. Saxophone's not so much in Irish traditional bands. They play, the drum they play is the bodhrán. I'm probably not saying that exactly right. All right, so not too much, you got it. And so we are going to then, we've cleaned our board. You can have a board or you can do it, with your floured towel or whatever. And we just put a little bit on, kind of making sure because we don't want it to stick. All right, so you put your side on. And then we each have a bench scraper here. Bench scraper. And I'll take that out of your way. We might need more. Oh, you notice I've got my Irish, this is the idea we got. We found this at the Goodwill, this book, and it's about cooking with your ancestors, and it has all the different ancestors. Now we're just going to dump it on our floured surface, and most people get their hands into it a little bit more, when my mom was growing up in Belfast, they didn't have rubber spatulas and bench scrapers and stuff, but why not use these things that are really good for us and save us time. So we take our bench scraper, and we'll just kind of turn our dough over just a few times. We're just gonna, just until we bring it together, all right? All right. Ah, I can see you know what you're doing there. No problem with you in the kitchen. Are you making an A in your culinary class?
I am, yes.
All right, you're gonna be hired right away. So I kind of try to form a circle, and I might have to get a little bit more flour as I go along. I kind of get flour everywhere, okay? Yeah. And so that's no worries.
I've done that already.
and that's no worries because, we make a mess, but we clean it up. We don't leave it for anyone else. And I like to make it not too high and get a nice circle going, like this. You see? And it's going to look craggy. You're going to want it to look smoother, but that's not going to be good for your bread, all right? All right, so we'll clean this off just a wee bit here, and then we'll bring over one of our trays. Megan was going to bring it to me. But one of our trays, and we've lined it with parchment, all right? So I'm going to let you put yours on, because we'll bake yours up first. I think you need a wee bit more flour, just a bit. I was stingy with you there, all right? And so we'll form it. If you make it too high, then it's harder to bake, We bake it in a preheated, really hot oven, about 400, 425, and so you lift it up there, all right? It is not pretty, okay?
No, it is not.
We don't, yeah, well, yeah, you don't have to say it like that, Brent, all right? So, and then we take, you can take a razor or something, just a nice sharp knife, and we make a cut this way and that way, about halfway through the bread. And now I'll let you do yours, and I'll bake mine up second. I'll throw mine back in here and bake it up. We'll never waste. We don't waste anything. Watch your fingers there. Have you cut your fingers much?
No.
Good, because I saw that you all had the lessons on, how to do all your knife work, and it seems to be going well. Mm-hmm. And now we'll hand it over to our Magic Megan, and she'll put it in our hot oven. So, Brenan, can you open that oven for her? And then we'll push this over. And then here we go, Brenan. Through the magic of television and Magic Megan, here's our loaf all baked up. Had to get up a little early this morning. You see, I wrap it when it comes out. It stays in the oven about 40 minutes or so, but you keep watching it. And how do you know? Have you learned how to tell if a loaf of bread is done yet? No? So when it comes out of the oven, we have and we here, a nice little hollow on the bottom. And I wrap mine in the towel when it comes out because then it's not so crunchy. It is a crunchy crust, all right? And that's it. And that is something that some people say, oh, the crust is so hard. Well, we like it that way. We're a hard people, okay? And we like it that way. I had my sharp knife. What'd I do? Oh, there you go. So, and we'll cut into it. Megan will bring us some, you're never gonna have it without some jam and some nice Irish butter. And so let's cut it open and see what we see. And then, like I said, it's a nice craggy crust, and here we are, all right? And so there it goes. People will do it. Sometimes you can make farls, potato farls, and it reminds me of that whenever I'm cutting into it. And so I'll cut up a slice, open up that butter and that jam, and Megan will get you a nice, and you can see what you think of it so far. Of course, it's best on the first day. There's nothing in here keeping it fresh. You know, there's no kind of preservatives or anything like that. And so you either eat it on the first day. I think the second day, I think it's good if you put it in the toaster. And you can see I have Irish butter there. What's the difference? It's much higher fat butter. Should have had that open for you. Higher fat, and it's about the culture of the milk, and it gives it a different little bit of a grassier taste, I think, but some people don't tell the difference. So, you like plum jam? What's your favorite jam?
Raspberry, probably.
Raspberry. Well, I had that one in the fridge. Mine's plum, so we'll go with my favorite. Okay. Do you think you're going to be able to make this for your family?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. All right. Take a big bite and tell me what you think. You have to have the butter and the jam on it, and there you go. But you can fancy it up. You can make it with you can put an egg in the buttermilk, and that makes a richer dough. You can cut in some butter at the beginning, put in some currants or some fruit of some kind that you might like, and then we're going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So what do you say? Erin go bragh? What does that mean?
I could not tell you.
But you've seen it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Basically, long live Ireland. And there we are. Thanks for coming today, Brenan.
Of course, yeah.
And come after school sometime and we'll work on that ancestry.
Will do.
It's very exciting. Thank you for tuning in today. And there we are. And thank you, Mr. Bayo and his crew for our filming. And of course, my magic, Megan.